The
family
just went
from
11.
The
11.
The family.
11.
From 11.
The family.
Family just went from 11
just
to 2.
Went
to
The family just went from 11
a vacation.
12.
The family just went from 11
to
12. 12.
How many moments in life do you believe trigger that intense of an emotional reaction? Probably not that many, but you know what I'm talking about because you just experienced this joy firsthand. Welcome back to the Mind Your Boundaries podcast, episode number 22. I'm your host and boundary enthusiast, Jessica Miller, and today we are diving into the ultimate guide for new grandparents. I have the top 10 tips from those who know it best, new parents. So I'm like in the middle. I'm not a grandparent yet, though I envy those who are about to be. And my kids are, I have a daughter that's turning 16 in a couple weeks and our son is 14, just, waist deep in hormones. So I don't know all the nuances currently going on with new parents. And so we got all the tips directly from them. So this is gonna be super helpful. You are gonna want a pen and paper. Not only are we going to talk about the top 10 tips, I'm also going to explain to you why it's so crucial that you work collaboratively with your adult child and in-law. And this is so you support them and you maintain a healthy relationship. And that's why you're here. You are here to learn the do's and the don'ts, and you're hoping that by learning the do's and the don'ts, you can avoid the all too common pitfalls, the heartbreaking things that end up pulling grandparents away from their grandchildren, all because a boundary is crossed or a rule is broken.
All right, Thanksgiving's coming up. Maybe you'll have some of these discussions or have some of these feelings. And Time magazine recently had a story that more adult children than ever before are estranged from their parents. What's causing this and what's the solution to mending fences?
It's been going on for some time that I'm seeing more and more estrangement happening, and there's a shifting in values in our society from the millennials, like people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, and they have a different idea about the power dynamic in the relationship in terms of them establishing more of the boundaries that they want to have in a relationship and the quality of a relationship they want to have.
As you heard, one of the primary leading causes of estrangement, so adult child and their parent, is a shift in values. And if you're like me, you're probably thinking, give me an example. Because when I learn best through story. I once worked with a couple, we'll call them Dan and Sarah. And they were just an interesting couple, and they were raising two very independent children. And by instilling independence and freedom of choice, they gave them, once they got out of school, this unstructured time period where they could do whatever they wanted with it, which means once they got out of school, they could choose to craft, play with friends outside, read a book on their porch swing. They could do whatever they wanted. They only had to come in when it was time to eat, bathe, and get ready for bed. Now this is completely different than the way Dan grew up. He described his mom as a control freak. She had him in literally every single thing he could. His minute by minute was structured and planned out from the moment that after school bell rang all the way until bedtime. It was structured and planned. And he didn't want that. He appreciated what his mom did for him because his mom valued education. And his mom was trying to prepare for the college application. And him and Sarah have a different value. They don't value education like Dan's mom does. They value independence and autonomy. Now, this is a very clear example. If Dan's mom kept coming to them, pushing her agenda by always bringing it up. I can't believe these kids aren't in sports. I can't believe you aren't having them, do extracurricular activities. I can't believe you're not expecting anything from them. I can't believe you don't care about their education. I can't believe, and just keep harping on them. Eventually, Dan and Sarah could get to a place where they're like, you are not respecting our values. And for that reason, we have to take a break. And as you can imagine, estrangement is not good for anybody. It's not good for the grandparent. It's not good for their child, the grandchild. It's not good for the adult child or the in-law. Estrangement is hard on every person involved.
So I was asked by a grandparent who is suffering by the estrangement of her child and grandchild. They have pulled back from her. She has no contact. And often in situations like this, the child is the one that pulls back and takes their grandchild with them. Usually it's from feeling anger or pain from something that they feel the grandparent or parent has done. But there are many people who are hurt in this situation. The child who pulls back is hurt, and that's why they're doing it, usually. The grandparent now has the loss of the child and the loss of grandchild as well. And it's incredibly painful, and they feel extremely helpless.
Why am I bringing this up? You're thinking, lady, I clicked on your video because I thought we were going to celebrate together. Like, where's the champagne and confetti? I just found out I'm going to be a grandparent, and now you're talking about me getting my unborn grandchild ripped away from me before I even got to hold him or her? Yes, I'm talking about it because estrangement is on the rise. And if you don't believe that this is America's silent epidemic, maybe this startling statistic will open your eyes. 1 in 4 families will experience some type of estrangement in their lifetime. 1 in 4? That's wild. That's so sad. I mean, in my family alone, I have step siblings who are currently estranged from each other. At one point, I had my brother estranged from my parents, which broke my mom. And another time, which I shared in a podcast episode previously, that my husband estranged from his parents for 2 painful years. So just look what estrangement has done in my family alone. But I am so hopeful because you're here to be proactive, to learn all the ways to be the ultimate grandparent so that there's never a disruption in your relationship with your grandchild. And as you're going to see in a second, grandparents play a vital role in their grandchild's development and well-being.
Love this story. Everyone knows it's Grandma and Grandpa's job to spoil the grandkids.
That's right. Research shows having a close relationship with grandparents can actually provide a benefit for children beyond those extra treats. Next for you, Ray Chin explains a grandparent's important role.
Dr. Vanessa Jensen of Cleveland Clinic Children says grandparents can serve as an extension of family members who love and care for your child.
The more people who love your child, the better, presuming that they're reasonably healthy people and reasonable in their approach to how they care for your child. It never hurts to have more people who can care about an individual child or a family.
Previous research has shown having close emotional ties between a grandparent and grandchild can actually reduce depressive symptoms for both. And as people are living longer, experts say these bonds are becoming both more common and more significant. Dr. Jensen says grandparents can play an important role for kids, especially in families where there isn't an abundance of social connection, or for children with families going through divorce.
According to a study from a university in Belgium, which I've linked below, researchers have found that a grandchild that has a close relationship with one grandparent, it only takes one, they have a lot, like significant benefits for having this relationship overall, but especially if that nuclear family goes through a crisis like divorce. Here are some of the profound benefits that the grandchild will experience with this close relationship. An increase in well-being, an increase in self-esteem, and a reduction of depressive symptoms. Before we dive any deeper into this topic, I want to know, because ever since you heard the news, I'm sure you started fantasizing about all the things you're going to get to do as a grandparent. And so put it in the comments, like, what is the thing, like the one thing you're most looking forward to when you first become a grandma or a grandpa? Okay, now it's time. Let's explore the top 10 tips to being that ultimate grandparent. At the end, I'm going to ask you to share the tip that you're going to struggle with the most. Pay attention to the one tip where you're just like, that's not really a thing. I won't have to worry about that. That's the one that will probably bite you in the butt. Tip number 1, prioritize open communication. Establish clear and respectful communication channels with the parents. Discuss expectations, boundaries, and how you can offer support, ensuring mutual understanding and avoid potential conflicts. Here's a script. This is what I'm gonna say to my kids and my in-laws. I want you both to know you cannot hurt my feelings. If I ever cross a boundary, become overwhelming, demand too much, like around Christmas time that I want you involved in all the traditions, please tell me. If I do anything that you don't want me to do with your child, please tell me. You cannot offend me. I will not get upset. The only thing that would piss me off is if you didn't tell me and then you let me keep hurting you by unknowingly disrespecting you. That would bother me because then resentment is entering our relationship. So I would make sure they know, whenever you do, always talk to me. Like I will never get mad at you. I'm never gonna walk away from you. We can talk things through like adults. You will not hurt my feelings. This tip is truly initiating communication because you really want them to be comfortable talking to you about their boundaries and even exploring the boundaries. Because a lot of times we don't know what a boundary is until we've bumped up against it and then we're like, ooh, this doesn't feel good. I think we need a boundary here. Forecasting that feeling for them. Forecast, you may not know all the boundaries right now because you're just getting started and boundaries will change throughout time. But whenever you feel that, oh, this doesn't feel good, you're standing too close, like that feeling, come talk to me. So forecast it for them so then when they feel it, they already know, oh, this is what mom was talking about, or this is what your mom was talking about when she said we were gonna feel this. Like, it's safe to go tell her, like, this is what we're going through right now. Consider this. Let's say you've always had Fridays off. Like, that's just been the way your work is scheduled. Your kids know this. Now, do you think that they're talking about how they can save on childcare because you could watch on Fridays? And if they're talking about that, are they expecting you to watch every Friday? And are you going to get paid, unpaid? Oh, and by the way, are they expecting to eventually do all organic, homegrown, like we make it ourselves baby food and it has to be made the day of? Are they going to expect you to do that? All these things are expectations you are going to want to clarify before you take on the role of babysitting on Fridays. You should also clarify, do you guys want us to call first, like so that you don't have any unannounced visitors? Are you expecting free childcare? Are there any expectations on the level of baby proofing, like even before the baby is born? These are really good things to start talking about right now as the baby is cooking. Tip number 2, ask before acting. Always inquire before giving advice, sharing photos online, or making any decisions that will affect the family. By seeking their approval, you respect their positions as parents and reinforce their role in their child's life. This tip is all about demonstrating for the parents, like, we believe in you. You got this. Like, we're not trying to steer the ship. This is your ship. We're passengers on it. We fully respect your role as parents. And this is crucial for maintaining a healthy relationship where you mind their boundaries and you also honor their expectations. This next video is about grandparents who purposely encourage their grandkids to keep secrets from their parents because they want to do something a little naughty, a little bit against the rules. But she's explaining why it's really hard on parents when this happens and why grandparents should never, ever, ever do this. And I'll explain my take on this after she's done.
It absolutely is frustrating. The reason why it's frustrating is because a lot of times it directly teaches your kids to disrespect you as a parent. When grandparents think that, oh, like, I'm just going to do this and we're not going to tell your mom. I mean, you're teaching them to keep secrets, which is really, really dangerous. If mom or dad specifically says don't do this and then grandparents do, and then they like, we're just not going to tell mom, that also like teaches them that, yeah, like, I don't have to listen to my parents. So it's frustrating for parents to have to deal with grandparents who do that. I mean, the world is full of enough stuff that we've got to fight against in order to like raise our kids the way we want them to be raised. But then when you have family members, grandparents doing that, no, it absolutely immediately teaches those kids that they don't have to listen to you. It wrecks their routine. I mean, it just causes a bunch of issues. And I don't think grandparents quite realize, or they do, but they still do that.
Could you even focus on what she was saying with that cute baby? Oh my gosh. In just a little bit, you'll be able to experience all that. My personal experience with this sucked. So my father-in-law encouraged our kids to keep secrets. It confused our son because basically in his head, he's thinking, okay, mom and dad say, these are our rules, but grandpa says there are no rules and I'm not going to get in trouble. I'm going to do this. It caused so much chaos and misunderstanding in our household. It was awful. But the deeper thing that really bothered me is, as parents, we know that the number one grooming process is, well, this can just be our little secret. This is just between us. And so we teach our children, if an adult is ever trying to encourage you to keep a secret and it goes beyond just a short-term thing like a surprise party, that's your warning bell to go tell a trusted adult, to come to your parents. If an adult ever encourages you to keep a secret, come to us right away. Like, that's a warning bell. And here we had a family member encouraging our kids that secrets with adults aren't bad. So it's like they were fighting us on it. So there was two things. It was hell at our house because our son didn't think he had to follow any rules. And the second layer is obviously more serious, which is my father-in-law was teaching him that secrets with adults are just fine. Photos on the internet. Nowadays, this is talked about quite often. However, when our kids were younger, I posted freely online. But now, as I've come more educated on the dangers of having photos of your children, I'm very, very careful what I do put online, if anything at all. But even after doing some research for this podcast episode, and after I show you these two videos, you are going to have so much more empathy for your adult child and your in-law than before, because I know how the algorithm works. So if you watch some new parenting video, you're going to start to get fed all the scary things out there for your child, because that's just how it works. And they're being inundated with how scary the internet is for photos of your child and what happens to it and where it goes. And so I have a lot of empathy now, even more so, for new parents who cannot get grandparents on board, and they still want to post pictures because they're just proud grandparents and they don't understand the dangers of posting these photos freely on social media.
More information on why you should not post pictures of your children coming from somebody who worked in child exploitation. A lot of photos of children that are put on the dark web are not explicit. In my experience, I saw a lot of children who did activities such as gymnastics and dance, and there were a lot of photos being posted of them in their leotards and outfits. These parents often had no idea that their child was on the dark web. Additionally, just normal photos of children can be warped into images that are explicit, even though there was never an explicit photo being taken. Lastly, and probably most disturbingly, there will be children who go viral on the dark web, and there's no reason for this, it just happens, and there will be pages and websites and forums dedicated to just sending pictures of this child.
So there's definitely a massive education that needs to happen around this, because it's just becoming way too prolific to post half photos of your children, and even just photos that can easily be manipulated. If there's a photo of a child and they put like an emoji over their nipple, they will edit those emojis off the image and they will put on there. So you're not saving your child by putting emojis on there, because they are doing whatever they can to get their hands on this material.
Obviously, you're just going to be proud grandparents, and you want a way to just share the precious photos of your grandbabies with your friends. That's all you want to do. And you want to show it off. Like, look at those cheeks. They're so cute. Here are 3 ways that you can do it in a safe way. And obviously your adult child in-law, they're going to have their own system. But here's an idea in case you're thinking, well, how can I share these sweet photos? You can create a group text with your closest friends where you share photos of family and just more private matters, things that you don't post online. You can also print photos. So before you go to cribbage, coffee, or just get together with your friends, print off some photos at the local CVS or Walgreens and take them, and then just pass them around the table. So nice and safe, and then you have some more photos to put in your album or on your refrigerator. Email. You can always send the photos via email. Tip number 3, embrace modern parenting. Acknowledge that parenting practices have evolved over time. It's vital to respect the strategies and approaches that you use may not be the ones that your children choose to adopt. Staying informed about the latest parenting trends will help you support your children through the parenting journey without stepping on toes.
Why do you teach him sign language? Do you think that might be confusing him? Who's this Miss Rachel you keep talking about? Susan's daughter's doing a co-ed baby shower. Do the guys actually go to those? What do you mean by wake windows? Can't you just put him down when he's tired?
So this is obviously satire, but it's showing you that she's not embracing it. She's very questioning. She's just like, and it's kind of it's coming across as critical. It's way better if you just go with the flow and let them lead rather than questioning their decisions as parents. Another video just to highlight how different it used to be. So when we were raised by boomers and how different it is now for millennials.
Dinner's gonna be ready in about 8 hours, so get going outside and keep yourself busy until then. Don't get in any strangers' cars while you're out there. Wait a second, where's Johnny? I haven't seen him in about 10 hours. The neighbors just called. They found Johnny sleeping under their kitchen table, so we're good. You're bored? Well, why are you looking at me? Go find a new hobby or something.
All right, kids, who's excited for a fun day? I have about 16 different activities planned today. Hopefully that's gonna be enough. Let's go start with our craft activity in the kitchen.
A good rule of thumb is just allow the parents to do the leading as long as the child's not in danger. I want to tell you, with my personal experience with this, when I was a young parent, I had some very interesting ideas on how our children should be raised. And looking back on it now, oh my gosh, I'm just mortified about the things that I thought were like so dire. Like, it was just crazy how intense and convicted I was on these strategies. This is the key though for you to know. The family members that supported our wild parenting ideas, I can laugh about the things I came up with. I can laugh about it to those that supported us and followed these like crazy rules. But the family members that pushed and pushed and pushed and didn't respect us as parents, 1%, it was absolutely zero. I will never be able to laugh with them. Even though at 43, I can look back and just think, what was I thinking? That was so bonkers. I can laugh at this because they respected me as the parent and they went along with it. But it hurt when the other side just completely had no regard for us as parents. Tip number 4, offer support and not criticism. Focus on providing practical help and emotional support without overstepping boundaries. Offer assistance with household tasks or care in ways that genuinely relieve the parents rather than imposing your ways. Here is the sweetest video of grandparents doing it right. So it says, POV, we are blessed with the world's most selfless grandparents who come over but bring the dinner, cook the dinner, make sure you eat first, entertain and love your babies, bathe the babies, and kidnap the toddler for a sleepover. I shared in a previous episode that my mother-in-law passed on a tradition that her mother-in-law started with her, which was when I would have a new baby, she would come and prepare the meal and clean my house for 3 weeks straight. So for 3 weeks, I didn't have to worry about tending to my house at all. That's how she supported us. And so she didn't criticize about how I was upkeeping or still maintaining things or not cooking or how my husband was supporting, nothing. She just rolled up her sleeves and helped me. And it was the biggest gift. Like, I'm telling you, I felt so supported and loved because she just said, no, hold your baby. I'll take care of everything. And that is a tradition I plan, if my children allow, to pass on to my kids. So that's an example of showing support, not criticism. Tip number 5, gift thoughtfully, not excessively. Coordinate gifts with the parents to ensure they align with the child's needs and the parent's preferences. Avoid overwhelming the family with unnecessary items, and you can consider contributing to savings or educational funds instead.
Question for the grandparents that overgift their grandchildren to the point where the parents are annoyed about it. Who's that gift for? If the child is under 2 years old and the parents say they have everything that they need, who is that extra gift for? I'll tell you the answer. You're not gonna like it. It's for you. It's so you can check a box. It's so you can feel like you've done your job as a grandparent. Before anyone calls me ungrateful, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that grandparents shouldn't be able to gift their grandchildren gifts for Christmas. And I'm not saying that it's not a kind gesture to give someone a gift for Christmas. But if a child is under 2 years old and doesn't really understand the concept of opening a present anyways, the parents say they have everything they need. Why are we giving extra gifts? That's a really easy way to build up rapport in terms of staying within boundaries. Parents are saying we're just asking for one gift for Christmas this year, then respect that. Ultimately, maybe they have a small place. Maybe they're trying to cut back on consumption. Maybe they're the ones who have to take all the gifts home and have to tidy them every day. Perhaps there's something that you can give that's an experience or not a toy.
Our personal experience with this, my mother-in-law was really good at helping us out, especially when we had nothing, and she knew we had nothing. So when our kids were little, she would come over with huge bags full of stuff and with every visit, and sometimes it would be multiple visits a week. One time I remember going into the entryway and she had 5 big bags full of stuff. Canned peas, sleepers, toys, just a whole bunch of stuff because she wanted to help us because she didn't want us to be stressed out. So it was always out of the goodness of her heart, but we lived in a tiny place with 0 storage. My husband used the garage as his personal training studio. We didn't have a basement, and besides the 2 closets that were in our 2 bedrooms, that's all we had. So the stress kept getting more and more and more, and my husband was not able to get through to her. Like, he was trying to tell her to stop. She wasn't listening, and it was getting kind of ugly. So finally I figured out a way to communicate in a successful way where I said, I know you're only trying to help us, but how about if we make a deal that whenever the kids need something expensive, like winter boots or a winter jacket, or if they grow out of their toys and they need something new, I promise you, I'll tell you, because I knew her language of love was to gift us stuff. And I said, I'll tell you, and then you can relieve us from that stress and show them love by getting it for them. And she totally agreed, and it worked out great. So this agreement style boundary ended up evolving into a beautiful tradition that she still has with our kids, which is once a year they go shopping before school, so back to school shopping with grandma. And let me tell you, it's still a relief for us because she takes them and she fills their closet with everything they could ever want that we would never buy, Lululemon. And it's just special bonding time between them. It's turned out really good. Tip number 6, respect their space. Understand the importance of privacy and independence for the new family. Avoid unannounced visits and stay mindful of their need for quiet bonding time. When invited, be a calming, joyful presence. I want to show you something. I could have not said this better, and when I watched it, I'm like, oh, every parent needs to watch this.
The husband's side of the family is pulling, hey, you guys need to come over for Christmas, need to come over for Thanksgiving, we need to spend the holidays with us, we need to go on vacation, family dinner Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We need to do everything together. We need to see you for your birthday. His side is pulling. Guess what? If her side is pulling, no, we want to see you for Christmas. We want to see you for Thanksgiving. We want to do vacation with you. We want to celebrate the birthday with you. We want to do life with you. We want to hang out with you. What does that do to that young couple? It potentially divides them. Because she's like, well, I don't want my family to be, abandoned by me. He's like, well, I don't want my family to be abandoned by me. And so it creates this pulling tension on this young couple, and it causes strain.
So we had one day a week that we could be together as a family because my husband worked every single day trying to make enough income for us as I stayed home to care for our 2 babies. And we told our families that Sundays were off limits. We have families that get together a lot. So how they would include us without making us feel pressure is they would say, just so you know, we're getting together at your aunt's house. No pressure, we just don't want to get together without letting you know we're going to be there. So they always understood Sundays were off limits, but they still would invite us in a very non-pressury way, and it was super helpful because, as you know, as a young family, we have to spend time together in order to bond and keep together like glue. And if we're being pulled apart all the time, we are more vulnerable to breaking down. I had to turn on the AC. Hopefully it is not too loud. Tip number 7, cherish every moment. Value the time spent with your grandchildren and their parents. Create lasting memories through simple, engaging activities. Remember, quality of time spent together outweighs quantity. Sometimes grandparents don't get to see their grandchildren as often as the other set of grandparents. If it was me, I would not focus my attention on that. I would focus my attention on making my time count by making it very, very quality. I'd be down on the floor, eye to eye with my grandchild, making sure that they know nothing else in this world exists except for them in that moment. Simple play activities. You do not have to think about bringing them Disneyland because you don't get to see them that often. Truly, play in the sand with them, take them to the park, read them books, play blocks. That's what they want. They don't want the big extravagant things where you have to drive far in a car with them. Anytime you do get with them, make it quality and cherish those moments. So check this out and you'll see what I mean. Just really pay attention to the children's faces. Parents need their grandchildren just as much as grandchildren need their grandparents. Focus on that and not if it's equal. Tip number 8, stay informed on safety and well-being. So ensure any items for purchase, any activities you plan meet the current safety standards and are suitable for the child's age. Safety and well-being should always be your top priority. What you're doing is you're making sure the parents know that my child is safe with you. So by staying informed on this, you are providing them comfort.
Something you shouldn't say to a parent this summer when it comes to the safety of their child. They're fine. Don't say that. If a parent says to you, please put on their life jacket, you should say, okay. If a parent says to you, oh, please don't give them a hot dog, it's a choking hazard, you should say, okay. If a parent says, hey, do you mind watching her near that body of water? Okay. If you are a grandparent, a friend, a caregiver, a partner of a primary parent, anybody who is helping take care of small children, but they don't belong to you. If their parent tells you, please do XYZ for their safety, and you respond with, oh, they're fine, you don't respect that parent and you don't respect the safety of that child. It is not up to you to decide if that child is fine. It is up to their parent. And what I can guarantee you is that parent no longer respects you and they no longer trust you with their child.
I just gotta shut my office door quick. Almost gonna start with clients. Tip number 9, celebrate and respect parent choices. Whether it's their lifestyle, parenting decisions, or even the baby name, show unwavering support and respect. Celebrating their choices fosters a positive environment for everyone involved. This video is hysterical and it just kind of represents satire for how complicated we make naming our baby because we want it to be unique and mean something. And I think you'll find this funny, but even for their baby names, make sure you are supportive.
All right, so we've narrowed it down to Jasper for a boy and Chrysanthemum for a girl. Oh wow, so creative. So creative. Well, we're thinking of naming ours Libya Olive. So amazing. And since we're obviously hyphenating our last name Valdez and Edwards, her initials are gonna be Love. Oh my god, I'm dead. So cute. So guys, I still need help with what we're gonna go with. What are the options? Well, we kind of like Kate. Kate? Kind of basic. Well, we're gonna spell it Khayte. Oh my god, I love it. So unique.
That's hilarious. There's gonna be other things, lifestyle choices. Make sure you respect it. Even if you have to be transparent and say, I would have never thought of doing that for myself, but I'm so happy for you guys. All we want for you two, or now you three, is to be happy. That's it. So if that makes you happy, we're in full support. Tip number 10, build a personal relationship with your in-law. Attempt to cultivate a relationship with the in-laws beyond the grandparent role, finding common interests, activities to enhance your bond and contribute to a more cohesive family dynamic.
I can tell you I had a great and still have a great relationship with my mother-in-law, and she is a wonderful example of a mom who loves me, loves her son, loves her other daughter, loves her other son-in-law, and doesn't make me feel like I'm an outsider. And I want to be like that. And so when my son decided to get married, I took his daughter, we took his wife in as our own daughter, and we treat her just the same as we would our own sons. And it doesn't take away from the relationship that she has with her parents. She has a wonderful relationship with them, but it's not a competition. I feel like it's just great that we get to love someone else and we get to bring someone else into our family and we get to treat them as one of our own. And I never had a daughter, so it's been really fun having a daughter-in-law and now a granddaughter.
I 100% cannot live without my mother-in-law. I cannot. I need her to grow to be 100. I don't know. I need her to be like healthy and old and still living with us.
And that's a wrap. I hope you've enjoyed this ultimate guide, the top 10 tips for new grandparents, put together by none other than new parents. I want to again stress that you should bookmark this video. You should come back to it if you ever have a slip up, if you ever feel like you could be weak in one of these 10 areas, and come back to it, have a refresher every now and again. Why? Because I am on a mission to prevent estrangement from even happening, and that's by having clear boundaries and understanding expectations. And that all comes from open dialogue and prioritizing communication. Last thing before you're off the hook is I want you to think of the 10 tips. I'm going to read them off in just a second. And I want you to tell us below which one you feel you might struggle with the most. So out of the 10, which one might be a little tricky for you? Really pay attention if I'm listing off something and intuitively you say, that's not really a thing, is it? I don't have to worry about that one. That's the one that will probably bite you in the butt, and you need to pay attention to that one. So here they are again, and then in the comments, make sure you write which tip might be a struggle and you're going to focus on that one. The top 10 tips for being the ultimate grandparent created by none other than new parents. Number 1, prioritize open communication. Number 2, ask before acting. Number 3, embrace modern parenting practices. Number 4, offer support, not criticism. Number 5, gift thoughtfully, not excessively. Number 6, respect their space. Number 7, cherish every moment. Number 8, stay informed on safety and well-being. Number 9, celebrate and respect parents' choices. Number 10, build a personal relationship with the in-laws. If I had champagne here, I would be toasting to you, Grandma and Grandpa to be. Congratulations, you are about to embark on the most rewarding season of your life. And until we meet again, make sure you mind your boundaries.